In this video, we're going to break down the results of some of my one-on-one students and community members. We're going to break down their results. They are different people from different places with different faces, different experiences. Some people have come to me with just travesty as far as what they've been through in the market, and other people were brand new. We're going to look at what they've done that's very similar as far as adjusting their approach in order to actually start seeing positive, good moments in the market. We're going to look at it from the side of making money, and we're also going to look at it from the point of view of lifestyle and time, because not everyone does this for the exact same reason. The goals are never the same. The dream is never the same. We're going to try to be as clear as possible, and hopefully by the end of this, you change the way you think about trading and you start to give yourself a real chance in the markets. Let's get into it. Okay, so before we begin, I think it's important for you to understand that inside of our community, it is not a signal group. I know for a lot of people, they believe it is because of the results that people see, but these people deserve to have the respect of you knowing that they are the ones who press that buy or sell button. My job is strategizing webinars and education and courses and daily activity and just updating on what it is I'm doing on my watch list. And ultimately, they have to watch the content, and they have to also decide that they want to participate in this particular setup. It's important to build traders, and you can't build a trader's confidence by telling them what to do every second of the day, because what happens if I go away? Then you're left with absolutely nothing. So when you see results, understand that they were the ones who created the results. At most, it's a 50-50 relationship. The other thing is there are no referrals or affiliate codes or anything like that for people joining in my community. So all of these results here are clean. They share it with me because in this industry enough, you know that it's not that nice out there. So when they find somebody who actually has some respect for them and is willing to share knowledge, right, is willing to share setups, is willing to give a crap about their personal journey in this career, because personally, I see it as I wish to treat people better than the way that I was treated when I was learning. I think you'd be grateful as well. And they all say the same thing. They're just trying to help me grow the brand, because the way that I grow this brand is the most difficult way possible. It is through speaking the results of the students. Because if they're having a bad experience, then what's the point of you trying to get education from somebody who can't do it in the first place? So that's it. Let's get into the screenshots. I'm going to be posting the screenshots on screen, having a little conversation. And remember, the goal here is for you to see it from their perspective. Maybe you have something that matches with what it is I'm talking about when it comes to XYZ student. We're going to give it 4 to 5 shots here, and hopefully someone's story resonates with you and makes you see trading in a totally different way so that you actually have a chance at better results. Let's get into it one more time. Okay, so we're going to start here with Ash. Now, Ash has only been trading for about 3 years. Now, the special thing about him is that he's never blown an account. He's never known extreme loss. A lot of traders that get into this space, something I noticed for the last 10 years of teaching people, is that they come into it with desperation, right? They need something to fix their lives, achieve dreams. You know, they're in debt. They hate their job, whatever it may be. Ash is not, that's not the case for him. He already has stability in his life, and it speaks to one of the themes of this video. One of the problems with traders is they come into this with a gambler's mentality, and they think that they're going to be able to flip accounts. You can find other videos where I speak on this, that it is possible to flip accounts, but it's just not sustainable. And it's also obviously not recommended. So when we look at Ash's journey, what we had to talk to Ash about, what I had to speak to Ash about, was about withdrawing, right? He was stuck on a funded company evaluation, just this hamster wheel of constantly trying to achieve that, which for 1, 2, 3 step evaluations, that is a lot of free trading. And if you're doing it right, that's a lot of time. And the problem with trading for free is that it doesn't mean anything to you. And even when you did well and passed evaluation 1 and evaluation 2, if you don't pass evaluation 3, you kind of ignore everything that you did well, all the rules and all the stuff that works against you in those spaces. Look, at the end of the day, there's a time and a place. And for Ash, it did not make sense to be going for funded accounts. I recommended for him to be live. I recommended for him to withdraw constantly. And I also recommended for him to do something very simple, which is called match your check. One of the things that I notice for almost every trader I work with is that they have a major disrespect for what money is. And the way that I try to make them understand it is pretty simple. I ask them a very simple question. What do you make in your week to week, bi-weekly, monthly salary? What does that number look like? They'll say the number and I'll say, okay, that means that you find that number to be important. Because if I work 40 hours a week, 50 hours a week, 60 hours a week for XYZ amount of money, and I see that type of profit on the charts, I should be looking at that money as important and withdrawing that money. What I should not be doing is aiming for these major milestones and goals that people create. I want to make 10,000. I want to make 30,000. The dance has to begin where it has to begin. And the pivot for him was a couple of things here. First one, we have to learn to withdraw with a little more consistency. He was making money, but I think what ends up happening a lot of the times is people have these crazy numbers and crazy milestones. Like I said, he already has real foundation in his life. So this is more of a realistic expectations as what's possible with the account size that you have and the resources at your disposal. So being fairly new at trading, still working through some of the beginner stuff, it does take longer than people think. People aim for months. I would basically say it's going to take years. And the question is it worth it to you? Well, he's been withdrawing consistently for a very long time now. Now, some of these screenshots are from February, some of them are from May, and at the end we'll do one from right now, July. Basically, again, the question to him was, what is an important number to you as far as week to week, month to month, quarter to quarter, year to year income? And let's see if we can at least match your check. That's goal one. Goal one is to get the money out. Get the money that you paid for education out. Get those bad deposits out. Now, he hasn't had any blown accounts or anything like that. So for him, we had to take a slightly different route and ask him, what would be impactful money for you? And have you ever been anywhere near that? And the answer was yes. And so we started coming up with a very simple process of matching his check, basically $1,000 withdrawals, right? And making sense of what kind of highly volatile market we're living. Also getting off the funding companies, because he's passing evaluation 1, evaluation 2, but when he gets to that live account after doing everything right, the live account, highly emotional, a lot going on, right? Finally, we get to trade live, and it just would not go well. So here's another screenshot with him just shouting us out in the community. He's also shouting out Narcisse, who made $166,000, and that is also on this YouTube channel. You could see everything, him being on the top of the leaderboard in FTMO, the #1 funding company on the planet. And you can see all those results inside of that video. Now he's doing that, but he's saying something key here. Happy withdrawing regular 4 figures at the moment and proving this is actually happening for me. Again, important, realistic goals. I'd rather make money that makes sense to me at this current part of my career than aim for the stars and just keep blowing accounts and redepositing and having no sense of whether or not this works or not. By him building withdrawal confidence and trusting his skill, resetting his account, or maybe leaving some emotional cushion there for possibly not trading from zero all over again, from the starting point all over again, it makes a lot of sense for you to do it that way. Now, most people, they don't do that. They're aiming for the stars, right? They're trying to grow that account 100,000%. It's not going to happen, right? It's not sustainable. Here's something else that we shifted. Him holding risk, right? Making sure that he's actually aiming for these trend moves that we talk about inside of the community all the time. He had 1,000 pip play on gold. It went really well. Now, if you know, you know. Gold is really volatile, and it's a smart move for you to always leave some sort of risk on the table. We call it partials. This next screenshot, let's read it together. I will one day tell my full story in a pod with G, because, you know, I do the podcast with these students, so you know they're real people with real stories. So you can go check that out on Spotify. Link is in the caption. So one day we'll do that pod. I know we will. So I just didn't know where to start. And someone I knew was friends with the guy in the UK, flaunting wealth. By the way, he's from the UK. All over Insta, as you can imagine, which is the norm, right? That's the easiest way to make people join your course, you know, flaunt money and flash them and dash them. Luckily for me, Gustavo Zapz showed up on my Insta feed living in Miami at the time, and although skeptical, I'm a good judge of character and joined. Never looked for help anywhere else. I don't have the crying sob story of blown accounts and losing family and friends over trading, and a lot of that is I found the right group early. And then somebody else up there said, there isn't a better group out there. Now, this is more of a humble brag on my part and a little bit of an enticement piece, but I do want to say that it feels good to know that we're helping people. Now, I know it is a business, and I always say it's a business, and I don't do this for free. But at least I know that I give it my best effort, and I'm not out here screwing people over and giving them false hope and false dreams and just destroying their financial lives. I try my best to make sure that we convey a very key point here. You're not playing a game. This isn't gambling. This isn't poker. This isn't anything other than a skill set that requires a whole lot of experience so that you don't turn it into everyday gambling. This isn't something that you can just jump into and catch a bag, bro. This is something that requires a lot of time, not everyday time. We're talking experience. So even I believe that even if it's 30 minutes a day, that works. There are people in this community that are in the military. They're lawyers, they're doctors, they're models. They're people with actual lives. I don't really deal with children. So when I deal with these people every single day, I can't have them spending an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours a day on the charts. Now, there is a lot of technology out there that helps, but the goal is to get so confident in your strategic approach and a rinse and repeat methodology with proper risk and allowing the market to do its job. It's volatile. There's opportunity out there. There's a lot of things to trade these days. You just need to know how to approach it. And when the opportunity is in front of you, take advantage of it. And when the profit is in front of you, pull it from the broker. That is something that I really believe in. And from dealing with people, again, for the last 10 years, something I noticed is not done enough. And like I said earlier in this video, not everyone out there is going to aim for the Lambo, the living in Dubai, Miami, balconies lifestyle, Rolexes, and taking $100 bills and burning them. Not everyone is going to be that way. Some people, they just want to build that nest egg. Some people want to buy that home, that investment home, that forever home. Some people want that extra car. Maybe they don't want to work overtime anymore. The amount of people that we've gotten out of gig work, Uber and DoorDash and all this other stuff, so they can just focus on their regular career. The goals and the dreams and the reasons for doing this are not always the same. But the most important thing to understand for me as an educator is that you just have to give people the right information and allow them to make sense of it, because I'm going to bombard you with example after example after example of what to do through the eyes of other students when they do well, and also through the eyes of other students when they do horribly. What are the common denominators here? What can we find in the people that do well and the people that do shit in this space? So I just want to celebrate this one moment. I am a person who doesn't believe in like flash and dash. I like to just live and die by results. And like I said, we live and die by the results of students, because obviously it's expected of me to make money in the market. And anyone can manipulate their own results. When it's about you, it's easy to change the way that story goes, right? To exaggerate certain things, to omit other things. But when it's about the student experience, this is the factual experience of this person. This is what they're feeding me. They're giving me an opportunity to tell their positive story. And I love that we build the brand in this way. So here he is. He got himself a new car. He has a nice family, beautiful family. And all he really wants to do is work his regular career, do the things that he loves to do, vacation with his family, and just have comfort. And with time, I feel that mentality, it can only be good for the person, because he's not offering himself limitations. What he's doing is he's taking it step by step. And why do people fail in this space? They go for the goals that they're not even ready for. They don't even know what they're asking for. They don't even understand the type of pressure and skill that has to be part of you, something manageable. They don't get it yet. They're immature in this space. They're still children in between their ears. And that's why they will never succeed at anything. If you want to do something, if you want to succeed in something, you have to love it first, because it's going to be shit in the beginning. I don't care what we're talking about. It doesn't matter what it is. If it's skill-based and results are not common in that space, which think of basically everything. Try to be a musician, a restaurateur. Try to be a successful personal trainer. Try to be a successful tattoo artist. Try to be anything in this world that isn't just 9 to 5 regular every day. And even that, high-tier careers, right? High-tier positions. Try to do that. It's not easy. None of it is easy. And most people, they want, but they don't even understand what they're asking for. And we're going to finish this with this right here. A little GU sell today. Not huge, but making money whilst making memories is all you can ask for. It's not a 6-star resort in Dubai like most trading posts, but for us, this little setup means the world to us for a family time like we did as kids. Theme parks next few days as well. I shared a couple of key moments. It means a lot to me to know, again, that we're doing great work out there. We're helping somebody, right? Somebody's being helped in a space where so many people get screwed, and that's that. What did we change? We made him withdraw. We made him get away from the funding companies. That's not the same fix for everyone, but making sure that you are withdrawing in a very patterned way, making sure that you are withdrawing numbers that make a lot of sense to you because you see these numbers all the time with your work checks and your salary, and making sure that there is a rinse and repeatable approach, which we're not going to get into the technical side of things right now because you could find other videos about that. You can go get education. It doesn't have to necessarily be from me, but the goal is to have a strategy that's very rinse and repeatable, very repetitive. It's almost boring because you are waiting for something always and forever. You're taking same risks. You're managing the risk in the same way over and over. There are very specific cues, like a checklist as to what it is going to make you get involved into the market. These are things that are non-negotiable. And if you try to do it another way, you're basically just relying on luck, and your emotions will inevitably take over, and you will do something that we talk about in the community all the time, which is the unraveling process, where that first trade is the end of you because you're starting to lose what got you to the dance in the first place. Let's look at this last piece. Hey, I'm back. I'm trying a new style. I kind of like this. It's easier to make these testimonials. If you want more, you can always go on Instagram, right? You really want to see my face. You want to see that I'm a real human being. You found me on YouTube by accident. Go check me out on Instagram at Gustavo Zapz, GUSTAVOZAPZ. So, as you can see on screen, we have one last thing that I want to show you. This is what we practice. Now, ask yourself, when is the last time that you saw results like these? Now, this has nothing to do with my amazing education and how much of a savant I am. This is about a person who has found the time to consistently immerse himself in the trading space. Again, you think I'm talking about 5 hours a day and you and your wife argue all the time and you neglect your kids and the whole world is looking at you like you're some sort of moron because all you do is spend your time on the charts. Have you ever thought that that's the wrong way to approach it? Maybe you should be thinking about this. This is going to take years. You might as well just give it hours every single day. The hours that you normally would spend scrolling on a screen, the hours that you normally would spend vegging out in front of the television, give it 1 hour a day. Fuck it. Give it 30 minutes a day. Give that a shot. See what happens. Don't throw money into the market that you can't spend. Don't throw money into the market that's going to put a hole in your pocket and put you in some debt that divorce is right around the corner if you're married, or a smack in the back of the head if you're not. By your mom, by your dad, by somebody, by the world, by reality. These type of results, what you see here, those type of results are not easy. He worked for those results, and I'm very happy for him. And as he says right here, thanks, man. I'm in the flow state. Nice risk, nothing crazy, just profit. And that's all we can ask for. Those huge numbers that you see on social media, some of them are real, some of them are not. All that stuff on social media, through all of YouTube and all of Instagram and all of TikTok, some of it is real and some of it is not. To know which is which, impossible. Impossible. There's no way. There's no way we're going to be able to know. What I do know is, if you want to survive in this space, you make sure that you take it step by step. And step by step looks like this. I always ask people, okay, I know you want to make $1 million a day and you want to be living out in Dubai and you want to fly out 50 women so that they can feed you grapes and blueberries. You know, one of them feeds you grapes, the other one feeds you blueberries, and the other one's massaging your feet. I understand that's what you want your life to look like. I get it. No problem. But wait for that. For now, let's just start with some normal goals so you can, I don't know, pay the bills, have some savings, go take a vacation. Right? Things like that. Prove, on the trading side, prove the strategy to yourself. Find the strategy. Understand the numbers that are in front of you. So you're going to tell me that you make $800 a week or $1,000 a week or $1,500 a week, whatever people make, and you're going to be okay with seeing negative $800 when you first enter the market, negative $400 when you first enter the market, you're going to tell me that your emotions are not going to be fluctuating left and right? Of course they are. You need to take it step by step, because if you don't, all that's going to happen is you become liquidity on the chart, aka you will lose your money, all of it, and then you will be redepositing, and then you will walk away from this industry going, this shit doesn't work. No, you never gave it a real chance. You were never even in the game. You thought you were, because you were on the charts, you were entering the market, and you know, it looked cool when you took screenshots for Instagram and you told your mommy that, look at me, mommy, look at me, I'm trading, I'm 40 years old and I'm trading. But you never gave it a real chance. You never did the work. You never tried it the way anybody would try something that actually has the potential of making money. All you did was press buttons on a screen. You were never going to win in the first place. Okay, so this screenshot that you see on screen, let's read it together. Yo, Zapz, what's going on, man? So I had an incredible trading week. I just thought I'd just kind of run it by you. So the community members send me this stuff all the time, again, for what we just discussed. They want me to grow, right? They want the brand to grow. They're very happy to find a home where people actually trade and care about the trading. Business or no business, we do good work, right? Is that not the goal? I put $50 in the account and said, let's see what I can do with it. Over time, I grew it to over $4,000. I just made a $3,000 withdrawal. I'm feeling good at the same time. And you can see his withdrawal here on screen. And basically, he continues to say, I got to go over the things as far as like with the data, you know, because obviously I missed out on a lot of opportunities. Me and him did have a discussion about being positive about when he does well, right? A lot of people, they go through this. This is not just a him thing. This is an everybody thing. They're looking for perfection. Instead of you looking what you did wrong and going straight there, I think what people should do is look at what they did well, and within how they did is a lot of truths of how they should trade consistently, right? This leans into how they are as a person. Find the things you do well and put gas on that fire. Don't just focus on changing or trying to change who you are, what you are, and the negative side of things. You got to figure out also what's a proper strategy. That's why one-on-one coaching is important. That's why consultations are important. Can you do it on your own? Of course you can. Of course you can do it on your own, but much harder to do. I even lost a lot and still did great. That's because of risk, right? So just running that by you, I'm going to stay consistent. Like, I'm not celebrating. It's only one profitable week. So he just really came back to the game. He's been educating and studying, going through our courses, attending our strategizing webinars, doing the whole deal. This is the beginning, all right? And I'm glad that he had a $3,000 week. Again, some people will scoff at numbers like that, which I don't understand. They'll say, oh, that's it. That's not life-changing. No one's telling you to quit your job. No one's telling you you're going to be on your underwear on a beach because of trading. I have no idea if that's going to be the case. My whole goal, like I said earlier in the video, is to be able to first match your check, provide you breathing room, provide you a reason to want to do this on a professional level, right? There's a lot of money to grab on the charts, but you can't just you just can't get lucky towards it. You have to actually try to be as professional as possible. I know, insane. Okay, so we've talked about Ash. We've talked about Ant, right? I gave you two different perspectives, but the most important thing there is this. They needed to withdraw. Thinking about, can I get it to 10,000? Can I do this? Can I do that? In Ash's example, him being a consistent withdrawer has given him a reason to stick to the plan and remain profitable throughout the year and be able to invest into things that he cares about, like vacations and a new car for his family and some sort of freedom and enjoyment in life, right? Because it can't just always be about work. And in the case of Ant, the second example, it's the beginning of your career. You need to make some sort of position of power, emotional padding. I know that it's nice to have the money in the account so you could trade more and you can make more money, and I'm going to make $1 billion, but it's unlikely. More than likely, what's going to happen is you're going to burn the money and wonder, why didn't I take out at least my initial deposit investment? You have bills. It feels good to pay the bills with trading profit. You want to go out to eat dinner. You want to go to vacation. You want to go on a vacation. You want to do a lot of things in life. It feels good to know this came from the trading profit. The goal is also, again, you tend to behave if you know there's a reason to behave. So if you create this understanding that if I am strategic and and have proper risk management and trade management and professionalism towards this, if I've made profit doing this, I am less likely to unravel and do the other side of it, which is the gambling that everybody does. It's no different than getting lucky in the market off of something gambly over leverage. You got lucky and it takes you now forever to stop this action because you're trying to relive moments of glory. All right. The next example is going to be about a person who has a bunch of money in pocket. And I want you to see how psychology can betray you. Basically, how you can build a way of doing things for so long that anybody reading it would go, I don't understand the problem. But because you're stuck in this pattern of just loss and you feel like you're one bad decision away from losing everything, things that are normally common sense and normally just the decision is clear, the person's brain is so clouded, so they'll come to me just to give them the answer that they know. They know what the answer is, but they need somebody to tell them what to do because we're working through the psychological issues here. Now, I have to hide this person's name because he doesn't want his name out there, but he was kind enough to let me share the conversation. So let's learn from this situation. Again, the goal is to make you see the market and your approach towards the market in a different way because of the experiences of other people. Stop trying to get lucky. Stop trying to hit home runs. Stop trying to make $1,000 account, turn it into 30 grand, and then wonder why it is that now this approach that you had is no longer working. You were over leveraged from the start. Or maybe the market conditions gave you a gift. We live in a highly volatile time. You take the gift. Stop trying to squeeze more out of this situation because it ends in disaster. This conversation that we're having in this video is about this. So let's continue. Okay, so I want you to take a look at the screenshot, specifically at the money-making part. Now, this person turned their $400 account into $12,000 on gold. Obviously, gold is a very volatile asset. We live in a world where there's war and tariffs and a lot of global issues, and that causes gold to move. And this trader took advantage of this particular trade. Now, he contacted me, and this is where the learning part is. He contacted me with basically a speech as to him trying to wonder whether or not this deserves to be held. There's a lot of profit here. Now, the thing is, your $400 account is up to $12,000. You know how unheard of that is? First of all, you definitely took risks on the risk side. That is unsustainable. So again, this is a gift. Secondly, this person will openly admit that they've blown a lot of accounts holding trades that were once in profit or pushing the risk. This is all not good things, but I think the most important part about this conversation is you can make so many bad decisions that inevitably all you expect is every decision that you make to be a negative one. That's why it's so important to understand your strategic approach. You have to look at this for what it is, the situation. It doesn't matter what happened before. It doesn't matter what's going to happen going forward. What is it right now? And right now, in this particular example, this trader has $8,000 of profit that they should be thinking of taking. Again, the percentage gains are insane, but you may not understand it that way. The opportunity and the volatility also really high, but you may not understand it that way. So the way you should think about it is, what are you willing to live with here? If the market comes back and turns your $12,000 equity back into $1,000 or $400, are you going to feel any better about the situation? No, you're going to create even more psychological damage. So the choice that I gave him was take profit, period. Now, the way this trade worked out, I'm not going to break the charts down. If you want videos like that, there's other videos on YouTube. You can find my free crash course. You can find me and I will figure it out together on how to get you real information. But the conversation here is about this. Why would you allow the market to do that to you? Also, that was Asian session, so it was really early in the brand new day. The market is very likely to retest, and it did. Inevitably, that market retested. Now, this trader did the right thing. He thought about it. He thought about what I said, and he ended up taking plenty of profit, and the market ended up feeding him a little more after that. The goal with trading is to, 1, live to trade another day. 2, protect your equity at all times. 3, be strategic about living to trade another day and protecting your equity at all times. You cannot run on emotions here or on feelings about what you may or may not think is going to happen. You have to lock up the profit when it's available. That is the goal. Lock up the profit when it is available. When the market moves in a way that is abnormal, for example, a 300 pip Asian session, or a 1,000 pip trend in a week, or a flash crash, people will immediately try to go for more. And the goal is, you should have already known what you were going to do if that was to happen, right? These thoughts have to be placed inside of your mind before we even get there. So for this student, what's the educational piece? It can get really bad if you run on emotions a lot. It can get to the point where it's hard for you to make a choice without somebody else telling you what to do, because you don't trust yourself at all. My goal with students like that is to force them to think about it. Watch the content, understand your decisions. I feed a lot of what we call audits, student audits, where I take one-on-one student, their P&L history, their breakdowns, and I publicly break them down for the community so that they can see that the errors are very common. This is a way of doing this that's not sustainable, but a lot of people like doing it that way because the dreams, the hopes, and all the big money is right around the corner in their minds, but ultimately it always ends the same way. Yeah, you might make some money, but this can't sustain, and more than likely, the only way you'll figure that out is by blowing the account. Let's move on to the next student. Okay, what you see in front of you is my Instagram, and basically, I do testimonials. Most of my Instagram is just me building the testimonials of the students and keeping them somewhere. Again, this is how I build the business. I build it through the results of students. I don't really like to talk about myself that much. I like to, have a good time with it, joke around, some memery, things like that. But most of the page is just testimonials. It's $166,000 one. You'll see different moments from different students. What is it? There is a particular person that we're looking for right now, and his name is Andy. Now, Andy has been a testimonial more than once. Last year, we did about $140,000 worth of his withdrawals, showing his progress, and we did a podcast. We did the whole deal. Now, for Andy, every now and then I update again. So let me see if I can find it right now, because as you can see, I'm not even prepared for this. I'm just winging it. There it is. Here's Andy. Here's some of his moments, right? When you scroll through it, you'll find them. He'll pop up again, maybe once or twice, because, come on, we got to leave room for other people. But the goal is pretty simple. The goal is to show people that it's not just me, right? Obviously, I'm the educator. I hope that as an educator, you're making something from the market. The goal is to show you that no matter where they're from, how old they are, what they got going on in their lives, that this is possible. You just have to have the right expectations. Leaning into what it is we just talked about, you can't treat the market like it's going to solve all your problems. You also can't treat it just because you're going to do it, immediately you're going to become a millionaire. If you got things going on in your life, your expectations have to be adjusted. So Andy is a nurse, right? While he was making the six figures last year, he was going to school. Now he's working and he's going after more stuff. I think he's going after his master's or another certification, something. He's doing something else, more education while he's working and also while he's trading. Interestingly enough, the man just told me that he pulled $20,000 from the market. He just did that. And he also told me, as you can see here, we're not going to get into the craziness of it. We're just going to talk about the lesson. The lesson is, one, you can be consistent in this in a way where it's not just these lucky moments. Two, you can have a life that's just as important as trading. It's not about sitting in front of a screen all the time. It's about understanding your strategy. So as you can see here in this conversation, this is Andy, and he made 20K. And I didn't even know. Why? Because this is not a signal group. There's no way for me to know what everyone's doing. And again, they share this with me because they want to, not because I'm forcing them to. And not because they're getting paid, which is also really important in a space where people pay for their testimonials and their reviews. Everything is enticement. You do something, I do something. I don't do that. I feel like I did something. What I did was try my best to educate and give a positive experience inside of the community. What happens after that? Let's see what happens. So 20K is what he made. And then you go a little forward. And as you can see here, he's telling me that he's been slacking. He feels like he's been slacking. People are very different. when you are around people a lot, you notice there's all these levels of work ethic and all these levels of responsibility and accountability. This is a person that most people would be proud to be like that. Working 80 hours, going after their career, something that he wants to do. If you listen to the podcast, you know why. You know it's not just about money with him. And you know that if a person was like, listen, I made 20K in the market this week. I also worked 80 hours and I'm also going to school. That is impressive. To me, that is extremely impressive, especially knowing what most people consider hard work to be. They go to a 9 to 5 and they feel like they're so special. Congratulations. You do the same shit that everybody else does. Yes, there's different levels and different energy and different levels of being tired, different variables that make that person more tired, no sleep, fat, whatever it may be, right? But at the end of the day, you can't take it away from him that it's 80 hours of work. It's hours of education. It's also time, finding the time to trade and still breaking results. So stuff like this needs to be discussed as well, because apart from the first couple of examples where we've discussed people having, they're dreaming when they make up their approach towards the market. They're running on emotion. They're not withdrawing enough. They're not paying themselves, right? They're disrespecting the money. They're disrespecting their time. Apart from that, we also have people who find the time, even when they don't have it, and hold themselves to an impossible standard. I think for a lot of people, that's one of the issues that they have. They don't find the time, not because they don't have it, but because their standard is way too low. They don't push themselves enough. I tell my students, audit your time. For the next 30 days, write down everything that you do, every single hour. 8 hours of sleep, 6 hours of sleep. You sat on the bed after you showered for 2 to 3 hours. Figure out where you're wasting time. You're going to find a whole lot of doom scrolling. This never fails. You'll find a whole lot of doom scrolling, a whole lot of TV watching, a whole lot of nothing, right? Sitting on the toilet for too long. Your legs are asleep. You can barely get up. Those are hours where you could be watching content, setting up your next trade, setting alerts, right? Reading a freaking book, watching a webinar, a whole lot of things you could be doing during the time. Most people scroll on average 3 hours a day. On average, that's the normal, and that's light, right? Because a lot of the people that I do the audits with, they end up with like 7 hours, right? It's 2 hours in the morning, right? Going to work, just sitting there at the breakfast table. And then during lunch, it's another hour. And then during the day, it's an hour accrued. And I'm being nice about that. And of course, at night, everybody goes on their phone for the most part. So there you go. So it's possible. He's going through some major life shifts right now. He's doing a lot of things to set the foundation for his life. And he should be proud of himself. And more people should be like that. Also, let me add, just for a little extra sting, he's in his early 20s. So that's something else. A lot of people, they think it's about a number. Right? They're going to mature. They're going to become responsible when they hit a certain age. No, you are or you aren't. So I look at it this way. Today's a good day to start. Next. So I'm going to leave it right here. I'm going to leave it with this one last example. And I left him for last because I feel that this is what happens when you place all these things that we've discussed into one human being. Now, this person has all the reasons to just live their lives normally. Retired military, has a career outside of the military that he enjoys, right? Has a family. I've taught 8 years ago. I taught him, and he never got into this for a bazillion dollars. That wasn't the goal from the start. He just wanted to be consistent. Consistency for him looks like multiple withdrawals that always look the same. 1,000 here, 1,000 there, 1,500 here, 1,900 there. Withdraws constantly because the pressure of making money is not on his shoulders. I think sometimes he just treats it as the extra, right? The really nice vacation, the extra stuff, the fun stuff. If I already have an established pension and I also have an actual career and I also have this skill, I imagine that the pressure is off my shoulders and I can do a lot of things that other people can't. I imagine that I live a lifestyle that I enjoy, right? That it's not always about how am I going to pay this bill this week. That those thoughts that some people struggle with every single month, they're trying to figure out how to survive this month. He doesn't have that, right? And I'm not going to say it's just the trading or the education. It's the person. He's always withdrawn. He's always been consistent. He's always kind of understood that he's in a position of power and he's going to embrace that. And again, he is one of the biggest supporters for me. He has really good timing. When I'm feeling like I don't know if I want to continue to do this. He always pops up. Everyone has bad days. Everyone has good days. I'm not going anywhere. But people like that, people like these testimonials, they help me continue doing something that sometimes is a little stressful. Dealing with people isn't the easiest. So as we close out this video and just look at what he sent me in order to share this with you and kind of drive this point home, I want you to understand that you just watched, 4 or 5 different people, that different age ranges, different backgrounds, different countries, some of them. You just watched the reason to behave on the charts, to treat this in a professional manner, to educate yourself, to find a strategy. When we look at, for example, this on screen right now, having access to professional mentorships can be life-altering if you do the work. The Zapz map is where it's at. Remember, I know it's sometimes like, why is this person being so positive towards him? Is he that good? I don't think it's about being good or bad. I think that in this industry, it's tough to find somebody who's actually going to just do the job they promised you. If they say they're going to show up, they actually show up. I know it's insane, but that's the truth. Somebody who actually has some education that can actually help you. It's not just the same cookie cutter crap. Now, no one's reinventing the wheel around here. But as you can see, I take a slightly different approach. Not only can we worry about technicals, but I have to find a way to make it make sense that you have to do these things in order to achieve the results you want. And of course, that makes a lot of common sense, but doing it is a totally different story. It makes a lot of sense for you not to eat the pack of Oreos because it's going to make you feel like shit. Speaking from experience, sometimes you're just going to eat the pack of Oreos. It makes a lot of sense as to why you should go to the gym, or else you're not going to live a long, healthy life, and you're going to get weak and old and brittle. Do people do it? It makes a lot of sense that you should wear your seatbelt. Do people do it? It makes a lot of sense that you shouldn't down that whole bottle of whiskey. And you might get sick, or it might mess up your life. People still do it. You shouldn't drink and drive. People still do it. It makes a lot of sense that you shouldn't run a credit card and throw it at Bitcoin. People still do it. It making sense and you doing it is two totally different reasons. So two totally different things. So my approach is give them the technicals, give them the mindset, give them the psychology, make it semi-entertaining, right? I would say that I'm a little on the witty side at times, right? Sometimes I hit the mark and make a person laugh, try to make it memorable, show up, give them the energy. And I think that's why people provide me what they provide me, because they've been in other places. They've dealt with other people. And I'm not saying there isn't great educators out there. Of course there are. Of course there's great people, but there's also a lot of shit. And that's tough because you got to get a little lucky. And I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm just saying I'm going to give it my best shot, and I always do. So we're going to finish it off with this. I want you to know that this is a responsible man, a person who works hard, a person who remains focused, a person with responsibilities and no reason to even be doing this. Just like Andy before and everybody else before them, everyone's made a choice at some point to take this seriously. That is why the results come. That there is no timeline here. This is just who I am. Right? There's no, if I don't make XYZ by this amount of time, that sometimes that $30,000 day that you want, it's much easier. Like, for example, the Fry Daddy, it's much easier to just get it $1,000 to $2,000 at a time with very normal risk management approach. That the market is so volatile that sometimes it just gifts you money, right? Like as you can see on screen, match the paycheck. So we'll end the week early. Those markup prices from the Zapz map are worth their weight in gold and then some. That the reality is this, that the money's there, that some people make it, but a lot of people don't. And they never think to themselves, why is it that I keep messing this up? Now, some people, we call it unraveling, where they have all the potential in the world, but something always seems to mess it up. And we have a different approach for that. But right now we're speaking directly to the people who seem to just never be able to find the withdrawal, never be able to win more than a trade at a time. All right. They're never able to string together a good week or a good month. Is it the charts? Maybe. But more than likely, it's this person has no education, has no strategy, has no management psychology, has no understanding of what is realistic as far as goals and what is you're fucking dreaming. You're dreaming right now. They have no understanding of what a market gift is. Like the market's really volatile and it's handed you all these percentage gains, and where you should actually just take a step back or where you should keep trying to pull out of this chart. They're just not educated all the way around. Now, I'm not saying that there's a one fix for this. Everyone is different, and this game isn't easy. But this is to prove to you that it is possible. I'm not just showing you people who got lucky and gave me a little screenshot. I'm showing you people who have been at this for a while. People, and all of them, different ages, different stories, different backgrounds, and different countries. So let's read that here. All right. By the way, this is for the next testimonial. The next testimonial is going to be a 5-figure testimonial with somebody with his own interesting story. You could watch that on the next video when I release that next week, or maybe end of the week. I don't know yet. Let's look at these last screenshots from the Fry Daddy himself. So as you can see with this last part of the video, you stuck it out with me this far. We got this DM from the Fry Daddy. It says, "Hey bro, Plexi called me regarding this withdrawal not long ago. They wanted me to bonus to cancel. I said I was simply paying myself." That's something that, again, I'm teaching every day. Pay yourself. Stop trying to create millions out of $1,000 accounts. The money will get there. Paying yourself is only a position of power, and taking the skill and making it part of who you are, so that you stop gambling, you stop unraveling, you stop experimenting. No reason to experiment with something that you know works. You stick to the rules, you stick to the strategy, you stick to the risk management. This man has made so many $1,000, $2,000 withdrawals. He's on the radar of the brokers as far as they probably trade alongside him, something like that. So I chalk this up to really getting on their radar with increased withdrawal rate, because he's been withdrawing a lot. I know they want to keep capital in there, but I'm not going to pay myself. I've told them, you got to do what you have to do. The broker will adjust, right? It's nothing, that's just business, the broker business, not your problem, right? Now, if they're offering you, for example, a major bonus for not withdrawing a certain amount and keeping a certain amount in, which has happened with some of my students, you do enough 5-figure withdrawals, they're gonna try to work with you on something, right? They always want to keep money in the company. So, and also the market's so highly volatile this year that seems to happen a lot through all the different brokers and even funded companies, I've noticed. I just want to send you this because the masterclasses, which is part of the webinar series that we have where we drill down on very specific topics, it's a masterclass. By the time you walk away from this will be part of your repertoire. That is what we do. We do them live, and then we keep them on a course module inside of the website, so that if anybody who wasn't able to show up or sees it later, it's there for them to watch. And I just wanted to send you this because the masterclasses has taken my trading into another level. Though there are always levels to gain, I will always celebrate progress. Something else that I teach them. That is Zapsology 101. That is my way of being. Listen, there's nothing wrong with humble bragging. There's nothing wrong with loving where you are at in life. And there's everything wrong with thinking that at some point this ends and there's no more learning to do. It never ends. You will always have something to strive for if you're an ambitious person. It's just the way it goes. It makes you feel good to be chasing something. It doesn't mean I'm not happy with what I have. It just means that there's more to do. Thank God that I'm in a position. I'm established. I'm founded. I'm strong here, and I can chase even more. The only thing that can go wrong here is maybe it doesn't happen as fast as I thought it was going to. But because I'm consistent and persistent, it's going to happen. And because I have nothing to worry about, for example, like him, he has a job. Good. Right? He has a pension. Great. And now he has another income. Fantastic. People look at their jobs like it's in the way. It's not in the way. It creates you the ability to try stuff because you have income. You have some sort of stability. I think it's easier that way. And my opinion kind of matters because I've been teaching people for 10 years, right? And in this last screenshot on the right side, it says, "I've been replaying the first 10 minutes of the webinar. Your words hit me like a ton of bricks. What I have been doing is not good enough anymore. It's past time for me to go from 4-figure withdrawals to 5 and beyond." He said this to me in September. Now, certain things have happened where he had to stay consistent. He has other things that are important to him in his life, but we've stayed consistent, and that's what matters. I love it, man. It's going to be a year later. And I imagine that I know you want to do 5-figure withdrawals, but if I end up being on the broker's radar because I've been withdrawing 4-figure withdrawals a little too much, and they kind of want to slow me down a little bit because that is the business of a broker, Good, right? It's all good problems to have. He will hit his 5-figure withdrawals. He will probably be a 6-figure a month person at some point. There's a lot of things that he can do in the future. But here's the beauty of it. It'll happen when he feels like it. It'll never feel forced. It'll never feel like, if it doesn't happen tomorrow, I'm a piece of shit. Like so many people, that's the way so many people treat this. So if you didn't get anything from this video, I want you to get this. Trading is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's never going to happen. And the more that you treat it that way, the harder it's going to be for you to come out of that psychology at some point when you feel like being professional about it. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying that you're probably going to need someone that knows what they're doing to guide you along the journey of getting out of that routine and that psychological trap that you're stuck in. If you're new to this, get educated. It doesn't have to be from me, but there's plenty of free education out there. There's education on YouTube. There's paid education. There's paid mentorship. There's all types of resources that you can take. What you don't want to do is throw money into the market and see what happens. That ends in disaster each and every single time. Pay yourself. Pay yourself. Make sure you're paying yourself. Make sure that if I make $1,000 in the market and I know that it's really difficult for me to even understand why it is that I made this, I'm still so new at this, maybe I should withdraw it, because more than likely I'm going to give it back, and then the cycle continues of failing traders. Give yourself a fighting chance. Go get somebody to give you advice. Again, I'm going to go back to that point. Doing this alone is very hard. So that's why I built a community. The community has a bunch of people like the people that you saw in this video, the 5 of them. They're in there. They're in there right now. Even people who've been alongside me for 8 years, they're profitable. They don't need me, but it's so difficult to do this on your own. Some people need a little bit of accountability. It's also good to have that energy around you. It's infectious to be around people who are having a good time doing something that you also like doing. I think the last thing is this. When you are starting anything new, to give it a milestone, to give it goals and timelines, make absolutely no sense, because you have no idea what you're talking about. So you're doing everything based off of feeling, and you set yourself up for failure when you say things like, if I don't get this in a year, this is not for me. There are plenty of stories from me that you've seen, testimonials, podcasts, that they always say the same thing. It took me XYZ amount of years. It's never the same number. Everyone's journey is different. Now, obviously, if you have somebody in the beginning helping you out, they help you cut the learning curve. They help you cut certain corners so that you don't spend so much time on what's considered busy work. They get you on the charts faster, right? Because that's really where you're going to learn, through the fumbling and stumbling of trying something new. I think people self-sabotage way too much in the way that they withdraw, in the way that they think about the market, in the way that they set certain goals and timelines in their head that it's never going to happen. I think people lack the ability to understand that there's nothing wrong with going to get help. Now, obviously, paying for things kind of sucks, especially in a space where there's so much scheming and scamming. Again, do your research, right? Or go find it at a cheap price, a price that makes sense to you. Go on YouTube, do that research, stick to some sort of advice. Stop trying to get lucky in the market. It's not going to work. In the current times that we're living in, the market's so volatile that people are getting lucky on the charts. And I see it all the time where a person will make $5,000 in the market off of a $1,000 account. Know that certain percentage gains, you got a little bit of proper price, a little bit of luck, and a whole lot of market cooperation. The market is moving. Stop trying to turn those moments into more than what they are. It's a free win. It's a free withdrawal. It's a little bit of breathing room. Stop disrespecting what a $1,000 withdrawal can do for you. Stop disrespecting what $3,000 a month can do for you. Stop thinking that you have to quit your job immediately. Stop thinking that it's going to be easy to be a full-time trader. Stop thinking that this is a matter of putting trader in your bio and immediately you're just going to be the greatest trader on the planet because this is what you want and desire. This is a skill like anything else. It's no different than building a business. No different than doing anything out in life that there are people who are really good at this, and it just coincides with the fact that they've been at this for a long time. It coincides with the alignment of love, that they love the industry, and it doesn't matter what we're talking about. So they dedicate a lot of their time to it. And that doesn't mean all day. It means whatever free time they have. They want to do it in the trading space, right? They want to do it as a bodybuilder. They want to do it as a jiu-jitsu player. They want to do it as an MMA fighter. They want to paint. They want to draw. They want to write. They want to play the guitar. In the trading space, isn't about get rich quick. Yes, a lot of people get into this to make money. Obviously, that's part of the allure. But the other part is you have to enjoy the process of taking trades, of managing trades, of being organized, of being self-sufficient. All the beauty that comes with trading, it's part of sacrifice. And if everyone could do it, they would. There's a reason why the failure rate is so high in everything that you look at, because what's going to make you make money is skill, expertise, knowledge, and self-control. Things that do not happen overnight. I want to thank every single student that allowed me to share what you saw today in this video. I hope that you use this to become a better trader. And I want to leave you with this last thing. If you're up to the end, I want to offer you something, a very steep discount into the community. I want you to message me with these words on this hat, which you can also find in the caption of this video. In the caption of this video, there's going to be a merch store. Go get yourself a Happy Trading hat. You don't have to be in the community. Go ahead. We have some amazing merch for you to wear to show your pride as a trader, a professional trader. Even if that's not filled with money right now, at least you're approaching this professionally and you'll be way further than the gambler in the market. So go get yourself some merch. If you're not interested in that, these words right here, Happy Trading. Message me Happy Trading on Telegram at Gustavo Zapz. Happy Trading on Instagram at Gustavo Zapz. Find me and I will give you a solid discount into our community. I will give you full access to everything, our courses, our live webinars, our strategizing sessions, our master classes, everything. You will find these people that you saw in this video inside of that community alongside myself. We work the market every single week. It is not a signal group, so I might have mentioned that, but these results are results based off of the education and what that trader wanted to do. And that is how you build traders. Look out for more content on my IG, on YouTube. I enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed this type of format where it's a lot of talking, it's long form, we're having a chat, you and I, let me know in the comments. I will make more of this in the future. I enjoy giving out this free content. I never wanted to make the boring, what is a trend line? What is support? What is supply? What is this? What is that? You could find that on YouTube. 30,000 videos. I wanted to share with you personal experiences and maybe take it from a different angle so that you one day can also be a very profitable and happy trader. As always, happy trading. Thank you.